Part 2. Okay, we already know the cost of comfort, for America is a nation of service-related businesses. So we all know the cost of comfort will have no other choice but to increase due to the low-wage purging. Allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. What do you think will happen when a pure white Christian woman, blonde even, with a little white child in her arms, the wife of a soldier who was fighting in Afghanistan for your American freedom, what do you think will happen when she looks into the camera? Sky blue eyes filled with crocodile tears, telling white knights how hard it is to keep the lights on, a white culture for her children, and food on the table due to the rising prices. But that's just the setup, people. The trigger words to commence Operation Enslave a Color comes when she makes reference to how the prisoners are eating 3 meals a day, free education, probably drinking moonshine, watching the telly all day, playing basketball, lifting weights, etc. On the taxpayer's dime. Oh, hell no. Miss Reader, my question is, what do you perceive the solution the seed of the angelic evildoers will come up with to show that they are not only tough on crime, they are also fiscally superior by saving the economy and easing the white man's pain? I perceive this is the reason why not one politician in a world of circus acts of lies and promises to get elected has touched this budget balancing topic yet. I perceive this will not be a crisis of supply shortage. No, I believe the crisis will be manufactured to make the demand for the product costly. I perceive when the evildoers have tweaked the white man to their optimum frequency of financial and cosmopolitan lifestyle pain. Not too much to crush them, for they are a fragile bunch, but enough to trigger their fuck the colors epigenetics. When the white heathens start picking up pitchforks and torches, they will bring forth their evil Hegelianized plan and present it as a necessary evil to make white America white again. Surely, given the opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, ease their pain and get you colors' minds right? Well, let's just say epigenetics will kick in. And because it's so easy to be saved by white Jesus, they will simply converge to Sunday go-to-meeting and forgive themselves. That's what I perceive. But I know. I'm colored and an unapologetic racist at that. So what do I know? I can just hear you now. What do you know about the American spirit, scribe? American know-how, American rebellion against tyranny. You always talking that racist crap. It's not about race, scribe. Always doom and gloom. Never once do you mention the good things in life. Never once do you mention how white people and black people will fight together, arm in arm in solidarity against the man. The free American people will never let this happen, scribe. We will march in the streets, protest to no end. Injustice somewhere means injustice everywhere, scribe. You got white people all wrong. That's why I can't stand you. You make me sick. I hear you. That's why I researched this for all of the dumb so-called African Americans who believe that. According to the failing Washington Post, under Republican lawmakers introduced bills to curb protesting in at least 18 states. February 24, 2017. Quote, since the election of President Trump, Republican lawmakers in at least 18 states have introduced or voted on legislation to curb mass protests in what civil liberty experts are calling, personal quote, an attack on protest rights throughout the states. From Virginia to Washington state, legislators have introduced bills that would increase punishment for blocking highways, Black Lives Matter tactic, ban the use of masks during protests, Black Lives Matter and anarchist tactics, indefinitely, drivers who strike protesters with their cars. Now drivers can kill you with their cars with impunity. And in at least one case, seize the assets of people involved in protests that later turn violent. Stop. Black people, there is no way in Hades Rutherford III and Kellyanne are going to take this type of hit for your colored ass, especially when they are experiencing pain themselves. I know what I'm saying is true because there is nothing new under the sun, and by what they say next. Listen up. Quote, "This is by no means the first time in American history that widespread protests have inspired a legislative backlash," says Douglas McAdam, a Stanford sociology professor who studies protest movements. Personal quote. For instance, Southern legislators, especially in the Deep South, responded to the Montgomery bus boycott and the Supreme Court's decision in Brown versus the Board of Education with dozens and dozens of new bills outlawing civil rights groups, limiting the rights of assembly, etc., all in an effort to make civil rights organizing more difficult, he said via email. Similarly, he adds, personal quote, "Laws designed to limit or outlaw labor organizing or limit labor rights were common in the late 19th to early 20th century." Stop. Bingo. Is that not what's going on at this very moment in America? Yes. Yes, it is. Here is yet another reason why I am so damn racist and another feather in our world court cap. Notice, it said dozens and dozens of laws were passed with the sole purpose of thwarting the civil rights and economic recovery of a specific segment of the American people. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a classic, clear and present case of what the white man calls genocide. And to think, white people think colorless Jesus is going to forgive them for profiting from this wickedness. What type of racist, unrighteous God do they serve? What? Who cares about a little ticket? Protest is about pain, huh? I understand that. I understand that. That is why I pulled this up for you to understand before you allow white people and Jews to convince you to do that again. You know what I'm talking about. Be tricked into fighting their doggone wars off the cuff. You do know Black Lives Matter ain't about black lives. It's about gays. It's about lesbians. It's about the, feminism and all that kind of stuff. They just cloak it under the black name so to convince you to get involved. But I digress. I'm going to be like D. Jones and bring it back. Check out some of the penalties the state is trying to lay down and tell me if they are not tailor-made to fit the Black Lives Matter tactics to the letter. First one, let's look at Mississippi. A bill before the Mississippi legislature will make obstruction of traffic a felony, punishable by a $10,000 fine and a 5-year prison sentence. Not to be outdone, in the great southern state of Georgia, a Back the Badge bill recently passed by the Georgia Senate, increasing penalties for blocking any highway, street, sidewalk, or other public passage. The bill is sponsored by 6 Republican senators. Hey, wait a minute. I live in Atlanta, and the way this is written, combined with the history of black recreational events held in the city, this may be a crackdown on what the newly gentrified white downtown residents call a nuisance when black people have one of their get-togethers around the city. I'm just saying. I mean, they block up the streets and everything. But let's move on. Check out what John McCain is doing. Something happened to the pictures. Well, check out what John McCain is doing. Arizona bill introduced this week would open up protests to anti-racketeering legislation, targeting protesters with the same laws used to combat organized crime syndicates. It would also allow police to seize the assets of anyone involved in a protest that at some point became violent. It recently passed the state Senate on a party line vote and is now before the House. In Indiana, the Indiana State Committee recently toned down a bill that would have allowed police to shut down highway protests by using any means necessary. The current version allows police to issue fines for such behavior. In Missouri, a Republican lawmaker has introduced legislation that will make it illegal for protesters to wear masks, robes, or other disguises during protests deemed to be illegal. Why? To take pictures of you for further harassments, of course. But wait! Here comes a flamethrower for all of the liberal college snowflakes. A novel piece of legislation in Oregon would require public community colleges and universities to expel any student convicted of participating in a violent riot. Think about it carefully, little privileged white boy. Lose your scholarship and you will be on equal footing as the colors you hypocritically say you are trying to protest for. I know that sent a cold shiver up your white spine, didn't it? Last but not least, listen up. Washington state lawmakers are considering a bill to increase penalties for people blocking highways and railways, acts that the bill sponsors has categorized as economic terrorism. Example, once you are slapped with the scarlet T, terrorist, a black pillowcase over your head will be being whisked away to an undisclosed location is on the docket for you. Black people, watch out. Watch out, my people. It's coming. It's coming. When the illegals go, how long do you think that they're going to allow their financial pain to continue without looking to those who, at least in their mind, consider a financial pain for the solution? You got to think like an evil genius sometimes. Thank you for looking at this video. Oh, little Miss Ivy, I am depending on you to tell the fam the truth. Thank you for looking at this video. My God's will, look for the next, and the next, and the next